Our next presenter is Dr. Andrea Marsland-Smith, the CEO of Alligator Energy, ASX code AGE. Prior to joining Alligator Energy, Andrea was a key member of the executive management team at Heathgate Resources, operator of the Beverley and Beverley North ISR Uranium projects and 4 Mile project in South Australia. Andrea was recently appointed CEO of Alligator Energy following a successful tenure as Chief Operating Officer. Under her operational leadership, Alligator has positioned itself to commence field trials at the Samphire Uranium project later this year. To update us on this exciting progress and more, let's now hear from Andrea. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex, and good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to take you through some of the key fundamentals of the company and the activities that we're heading into in the next couple of months. We'll be talking mostly about the Samphire Uranium project today and our Big Lake discovery in the northeastern part of South Australia. Just to note that we recently had a successful share placement capital raising, so with our cash currently around $30 million, and gives you a snapshot there of what our major shareholders' percentages are at the current time. So South Australia is a tier 1 uranium mining jurisdiction, having been there's been about 5 uranium mines approved so far. We are hoping to be the 6th one, the next one off the rank, and we're moving our Samphire Uranium project through the approvals steps as we move that further towards development. There's minimal political risk in South Australia. It's a very stable uranium mining jurisdiction. This project in Samphire has a staged long life project, we think, and it's got a significant ISR resource with a known expansion potential. So we expect to come to market about late this decade. We are going to be on ground with our field trial later this coming month, constructing the plant on ground, and then Q4 going through its operation. We've established over the last 2 or 3 years an experienced in situ mining uranium team, all of which have operated and been involved in the permitting of uranium mines, particularly with respect to in situ recovery. And then last year, we also had a discovery, which we think is potentially a new field for an ISR uranium prospectivity up in the Moomba Basin in the northeast of the state. I'll just drill down now towards the Samphire project, which is located 20 kilometres south of Whyalla. It's a regional town in South Australia that services other mining industries, such as the steel and iron ore mining industry. And so being so close to Whyalla, this project is not remote by any means. And in terms of its development, it won't be a fly-in, fly-out operation, of course. We'll source our workforce from Whyalla. The project is broken into 2 deposits, one called the Blackbush deposit, which is what we have been focusing on in the last 3 years as a company developing, and then the Plumbush prospect, which is another area of known uranium mineralisation around 5 kilometres to the south of Blackbush, which we will start investigating pending some further approvals and access in the coming year to prove that up as another satellite deposit to Blackbush. The Blackbush deposit itself contains around 18 million pounds and combined inferred and indicated with 14 million pounds in indicated. We've been drilling the last 3 years to get that indicated up and convert as much inferred resource as we can into that indicated category so that we could start looking at going into a definitive feasibility study. We did undertake a scoping study of the project back in 2023, and at today's long-term prices, it's already economic and it could attract funding at these prices today. We're looking at a 12-year mine life at around £1.2 million per annum production. We've also, in our technical work, been looking at the integrity of the deposit and not only increasing the size, but we've got this deposit to a point where we can now start planning actual well fields for in situ recovery mining and start that future mine design, which will go into our definitive feasibility study in the coming months. In that definitive DFS, we're also going to look at increasing the production rate from that £1.2 million to 1.5. The deposit itself is around 80 metres below depth, so it's shallow, and so meaning the operation costs of continuing expanding wellfield costs are cheaper than compared to the other projects in South Australia. The map to the right shows the expansion potential of Blackbush. We've drilled all the way up to this fence line here, which is a division between one landholder and another. The landholder to the north, we have full access for mining to take Blackbush through to the production phase. South of that fence, we're currently negotiating access with that landholder, which is going very well and will be successful. So we hope in the new year that we will be starting to expand Blackbush to the south through those channel systems, and that the purple is there where the uranium is actually hosted in old riverbeds. So we've got the host well mapped out. It's just now getting into drilling and starting that expansion south of Blackbush. I mentioned Plumbush before. You can see here that the drill hole spacing is around 200 to 400 metre spacing. Blackbush is being drilled down to around 25 to 50 metre spacing. So it doesn't take much to consider that we could potentially start expanding the resource base at Plumbush and start defining a mineable resource. We've got mine grade intersections down there that we know of. And also between the two, there's limited drilling. So we've got a good 5 kilometres of strike length to start working on in the coming year. I mentioned the scoping study. This is just the metrics of running at 2 different long-term uranium prices. We're currently sitting around the middle of that now. When we look at a £1.5 million increase to the production rate in our DFS, it'll improve this NPV by about another $100 million. Going further out beyond the Blackbush and Plumbush prospects, you can see that channel system is very exhaustive, particularly to the south of Plumbush. And so we did a calculation on what we think the range of pounds might be there to realise, and we looked at the channels only that had drill holes in them, so we could assess the tenor of pounds. We think there's around 15 to 75 million pounds in this system as a range, and the channel system itself has only been drilled, 30% of it's only been drilled, so there's a good 70% of prospective channels still to explore. Our field recovery trial, we have been building the plant off-site for the last year and a half. It really is the final step in de-risking this project and heading into the mining lease application. This field recovery trial is a containerised plant. 3 areas of the deposit that we will test in an in situ recovery style wellfield pattern with 1 extractor and 4 injectors around each pattern. We expect this to be operated around October to December into January 2026, around a 3-month operation where each well pattern operates for 1 month. And the reason we're doing this is just to ensure that we have that larger scale parameters such as uranium recovery, reagent usage, and efficiency in the ion exchange process that will then go into the definitive feasibility study. This is just some photos of the plant. As I said, we're ready to go. We're just waiting for the last lot of approvals from the state government to start constructing this on site. We won't be making any uranium oxide, but we'll be keeping the product around 6,000 pounds in solution for processing when we finally get to the mining stage. So this is the outlook over the next couple of months. As I said, we're just waiting now for the last lot of approvals, end of Q2 into this Q3 from the state government, into commissioning then and construction in the next quarter, and finally then into the operations. We're in parallel kicking off our DFS, and then as soon as we receive these approvals for the field recovery trial, we'll be into mining lease approvals, the baseline studies, etc., that you need to start to do as part of that. It also engages the federal government in an approval for a mining lease for the uranium mine, so we're going to start kicking that off as well. I'll just finish on our Big Lake uranium project in the northeast of the state, up near Moomba. These tenements were picked up because they're analogous in terms of situation to some of the Wyoming, Kazakhstan ISR projects, which are associated with hydrocarbon basins. So here we've got a hydrocarbon basin underneath prospective tenements, and the sediments above that basin host the Beverley 4 Mile uranium deposits. And so never before has a mineral explorer started to look in this area for in situ recovery style sedimentary uranium. And our inaugural program in August 2024 hit some significant thicknesses of uranium. Pending that, we had been analysing this for 2 years to understand where to best drill. We've come up with some great grades, never been seen before up in this area. We were then hoping to follow this up earlier this year, but the rains in South Australia prevented us from completing that program. And so we intend to get out there later this year in October, November, pending receiving of the flood waters, to then start really understanding what this system is and how big it is. So I'll leave that there, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you for your time. That was good. Exciting times ahead for Alligator as you move into the FRT. Just a few questions that got emailed in. We've got a few minutes, so we might just go through those if that's okay. But something we've been seeing in the sector is utilities and fuel buyers starting to talk to pre-production companies. So with you moving into the field recovery trial, is that something, have they been expressing an interest in the activities and plans?
Yeah, certainly. We attend all of the nuclear fuel conferences through the year. There's usually around 3 of them, and we have been meeting with utilities over the last 3 years, just so they know who we are and when our production is likely to come on. And the gap around 2030 is about the same time we expect to start to produce. So the timing of us coming online and their requirements are aligning very well. Big utilities such as EDF and Constellation, in the early days when we were engaging, wouldn't meet with us because we're, not too small or not interested at that point. But now they are actually requesting meetings with us. So the engagement of the big utilities is really ramped up, and we're seeing a big change. So we sometimes say if we're up for contracting, we could have contracted our Blackbush pounds 3 times over by now, but we're just sticking to a strategy and keeping the engagement up, and we'll look at contracting when it's the right time. Excellent.
Well, I think that takes us to our time, Andrea. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for presenting today.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.